Preparing our young horse to put the saddle on for the very first time, we do a couple of things before we get to this point. One thing we're going to do is make sure the horse is really comfortable with us working and moving on both sides. And then if you'll notice, he's got front hobbles on. All our horses as yearlings, we teach them to be comfortable with hobbles on from the very beginning, along with things like putting surcingles on. We put surcingles on during the first few weeks just to get them comfortable with pressure around their belly. So when we go ahead and cinch them up for the first time, it's not something they're very foreign to. But these hobbles just kind of teach them to stand still and kind of understand that they can't move too much. Now, granted, a horse's hobble can run and buck about as easy as a horse that's not hobbled if they know how. But our young horses get real comfortable with standing around for a long period of time with hobbles on before we ever go ahead and put our saddle on. The other thing we do a lot of is desensitizing them to a saddle pad, and we use the training process to be able to do that. The thing we want to do is provide a cue, wait for the response that the horse gives us, and then reinforce the correct or inappropriate response by either positive or negative reinforcement. And what I mean by that with the desensitizing with a saddle pad is I'll simply just have our students and myself come up, show the horse what we're going to do something he's comfortable and used to, and that is us putting our hands on him but also touching him with the saddle pad, and then start to just put it on him. If he moves away or grimaces a little bit like he's doing there, I'm going to be real quick about releasing. He gave me the correct response, and so what I want to do is withdraw the thing that he doesn't like, which is the uncomfortableness of the saddle pad from the very beginning. But as time goes, he gets more and more used to me being able to put this saddle pad on him. And if you'll notice, as Sydney holds her horse, I'm going to walk to both sides, put the saddle pad on both sides, because it's a really new thing each time we move from the right to the left hand side of the horse. So positive reinforcement because he's doing the correct thing, petting him a lot, and then withdrawing the saddle pad, leaving his space, and letting him think about a little bit of what's going on here. So now that he's comfortable with that, we'll go ahead and put the saddle pad on him, leave it there. Now we get ready to introduce the saddle. It's the same thing as the saddle pad. I want the horse to be understanding of what's going on, so I let them look at the saddle a little bit, sniff it, and realize that there's nothing really wrong with it. And then we're going to have to think about a few things as we go along, and that is, the number one thing I want to make sure happens is when I get this saddle on and cinch it up, the horse can run, he can buck, he can do some things within reason. But what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to put this saddle on so loose that it winds up moving, getting underneath the horse. That would be really bad. So when I cinch it up, I'm not going to cinch it up like it's the rodeo, but I am going to put it on pretty snug so as he does move, it doesn't put him in a jam. The other thing I'll do is put everything up on this off side. So I don't want this to slap him as I put this on. I want it to be nice and gentle as I put it up on him. So we set it in place, got it nice and comfortable. If you notice, I keep my hand on it quite a bit because if he decides to move and run off, I'm going to go ahead and pull my saddle with him because, again, I don't want it to hit the ground. I want to, not because I'm scared of getting my older saddle hurt or dirty. I don't want him to hear the thud of it hitting the ground, so I want to keep him calm. So he's pretty calm here. As I move to the other side, Sydney's going to take hold of the saddle so it doesn't move while I'm moving. She's got a hold of it. And when I come to the offside to put everything down, she's going to come with me. Because if he does spook, what I want him to do is run away from both of us, not run over the top of us. And now we're on to this side of the saddling. I'm going to bring my girths down gently, not making any sudden movements. I just want everything to come down nice and gentle. Okay, make sure I've got everything straight so that I can get cinched up appropriately here in just a second. If you have somebody helping you, it's a great idea because they can keep your horse calm and relaxed through this process. Put our rigging down here good. So front cinch comes on first. It'll go on off last at the end. But you notice I'm going to go into the belt loops here. My cinch strap, I want to take a hold of those just like I put on a belt. So here we're just a little bit snug. He's used to that because we've put him in a sur single before. We'll get him a little bit snug, find a hole while he's comfortable, put my back cinch on. Not going to cinch this back cinch all the way up tight, but I'm not going to leave it loose either, so that if he runs or bucks, he sticks a back foot in it either. Okay, he's pretty comfortable with that, so I'm going to go one more hole. Now we're on good. We're ready for our first experience with the saddle. And when we do this, I don't ever use my nicest saddle. I use something that if the horse does run or buck or fall down or anything silly, he's not doing it with one of my nicest saddles. But here, because we've done all the first steps, we've desensitized our horse to the saddle pad, saddle, and everything else, like our front hobbles. He's pretty gentle. He's not going to do anything too outlandish. And here we just keep a lunge line on just in case there was any chance that he got hung up or had a problem. I'd want to have a hold of him so that I could come in and get a hold of him if I needed to and help maybe save the day if I had to. This is it, nice and gentle, easy going. We're going to let him experience the saddle on his own pace for the first time, and hopefully it's going to remain pretty easy. Then we move to the trot, just because we're going to ask him to go a little bit. He has to get used to the saddle bumping him around and being heavy on his back. When we get done with him here in just a minute, we're going to go backwards the exact same way we went forwards. We're going to remove the saddle nice and gently, take that back cinch off first, front cinch off second, ease the saddle off of him, reassuring him the whole time. With that, we get majority of our horse's saddle for the first time with no sweat. With those few steps and making sure you desensitize your horse to the saddle and saddle pad by taking time and using the saddle pad to the best of your ability, using a sur single and having them move as they are with the sur single on them, is going to set you up for success when you put the saddle on for the very first time. And I would say take my time for the first 2 or 3, 4 first saddling. Put it on just for a little bit, pull it off nice and gentle. That way your horse is getting used to and comfortable with the weight that's on his back. Hope that helps for your first saddling.